To understand the Zone of Silence, you first have to understand the stories that built it into one of Mexico's strangest modern legends. This desert expanse, located in the Bolson de Mapimi, overlaps the northern part of Durango and edges into Chihuahua and Coahuila. It's an arid region marked by flat scrublands and salt flats. But what sets it apart isn't its appearance. It's the tales of bizarre physical phenomena. The most well-known claim is that radio waves refuse to pass through this region. Visitors say the moment they cross into it, their car radios die, walkie-talkies refuse to transmit, and phones become nothing more than digital bricks. That silence, they say, is not just metaphorical, it's literal. Next come the compass anomalies. Travelers and explorers have long insisted that compasses spin erratically within the zone. Instead of pointing due north, the needle allegedly wavers or points in random directions, making reliable navigation nearly impossible. While compasses can be affected by nearby mineral content in the minds of believers, this has become evidence of some kind of magnetic disturbance or vortex in the region. And then there's the spectacle in the skies. This patch of desert has long had a reputation for being a magnet for aerial phenomena. Multiple sightings of fireballs streaking across the sky, sometimes described as low-flying orbs or meteor-like objects that hover, have been reported for decades. Some witnesses describe these as silent and smooth-moving, suggesting intelligent control. Others describe fireballs trailing smoke, behaving like they're rolling down hills or bouncing off the desert floor, leaving no scorch marks. Perhaps the most memorable folklore concerns the so-called Nordic visitors. These legends describe a trio, 2 men and 1 woman, who are unnaturally tall, pale-skinned, and blonde. They appear deep within the desert, always inappropriately dressed for the brutal heat, and always eerily calm. According to numerous local accounts, they ask for nothing more than water, speak fluent Spanish, and vanish shortly after, often without leaving footprints in the sand. Some ranchers have even claimed that they've interacted with them on multiple occasions, always with the same polite requests and mysterious exits. Finally, the biological oddities. Tourists and paranormal investigators report seeing cacti twisted into unnatural shapes and lizards that appear in unusual hues of bright blue or orange. These animals are often said to be mutations caused by radiation or cosmic energy. Though no formal evidence supports these claims, the biodiversity of the area, especially within the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve, has helped reinforce the idea that this place isn't quite like anywhere else on Earth. All of these claims, radio silence, magnetic confusion, strange lights, and mysterious figures, have layered together over the decades to form a rich legend. But unlike most ghost stories or UFO tales, this one has an actual historical origin point. And it didn't begin with anything supernatural. It began with a man looking for oil and an offhand comment that would spark one of the most persistent myths in modern Mexican folklore. The story of the Zone of Silence began not with folklore, but with an accident high above the Earth. In July of 1970, the United States Air Force launched a test rocket from the Green River Launch Complex in Utah. The rocket was a modified Athena RTV, part of a long-range ballistic test designed to measure how nuclear materials would behave during re-entry. It was never intended to land in Mexico. Its planned trajectory should have carried it over New Mexico and into the White Sands missile range, but something went wrong. The rocket veered dramatically off course. For reasons that were never fully explained publicly, it soared southward across the border, traveling more than 400 miles from its target. It crashed into the desert in northern Durango, in the very area that would later become known as the Zone of Silence. The warhead it carried did not detonate. It was non-nuclear, but it did contain small amounts of cobalt-60, a radioactive isotope. The impact left a shallow crater, and the United States quickly dispatched a recovery team. What followed was one of the largest joint cleanup operations between the United States and Mexico during peacetime. American personnel, with permission from the Mexican government, entered the area with radiation detection equipment, trucks, and helicopters. The debris was collected over several weeks, and tons of contaminated soil were reportedly removed and shipped back to the United States in sealed containers. It was during this mission that the phrase "Zone of Silence" was first publicly used, though not in any scientific context. The name was coined casually by American engineers after they noticed that their communications equipment frequently malfunctioned. Radios lost signal. Walkie-talkies produced only static. At first, they assumed it was due to faulty batteries or equipment damage during the crash, but the failures kept happening, seemingly only within a specific radius. Outside that zone, everything worked as expected. Inside, silence. There was never an official statement confirming that these anomalies were caused by anything unusual. Most scientists attributed the communication failures to natural interference from the area's high concentration of magnetite, a naturally magnetic mineral found in the soil. Others pointed to atmospheric conditions or topographical quirks, but the name stuck. La Zona del Silencio, and the seeds of myth had been planted. The presence of radioactive debris only added to the speculation. Although the contamination was minimal and contained, rumors quickly spread among locals that something dangerous or unnatural had landed in their desert. Ranchers spoke of strange equipment and men in hazmat suits. Some claimed their livestock had started behaving erratically in the weeks after the crash. Whether these were real observations or the early stirrings of legend is difficult to separate now, but one thing was certain: a mysterious region had just been given a name, and a modern legend had been born. What makes the Zone of Silence different from the rest of the Chihuahuan Desert is not just what happens above ground, but what lies beneath it. Geologists studying the area have long noted that the region's physical makeup is unusually complex. Beneath the parched soil stretches a thick layer of sedimentary rock, riddled with deposits of magnetite and other iron-rich minerals. These elements can distort magnetic fields, disrupt radio signals, and create pockets of natural interference, exactly the kind of anomalies that gave the zone its name. The Zone of Silence also lies along what is known as the Mapimi Basin, an ancient seabed that existed more than 100 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. Fossilized marine life can still be found in the region: ammonites, bivalves, and coral, frozen in stone beneath layers of desert dust. This geologic evidence supports the theory that the entire area was once submerged under a shallow inland sea. Over millions of years, tectonic shifts and gradual uplift exposed the seafloor, transforming it into one of the driest regions in North America. Adding to the geological mystery is the unusually high concentration of meteorite fragments found in the area. Scientists from the Mexican Geological Service and various universities have recovered nickel-iron meteorites and tektites, glassy remnants formed when a meteor impacts the Earth's surface at high speed. These findings are not random. The Zone of Silence sits near the same latitudinal belt as other magnetic anomalies, including the Bermuda Triangle and the Egyptian pyramids, while there is no proven connection between them. The coincidence has led some researchers to investigate whether Earth's geomagnetic patterns might be stronger or more concentrated along certain invisible lines. The area is also rich in fulgurites, hardened tubes of glass formed when lightning strikes sand or rock. These lightning-formed structures suggest an unusually high number of electrical storms despite the arid climate. Some atmospheric scientists speculate that the mineral composition of the ground could influence the frequency or intensity of lightning in the region. Others believe it is simply a convergence of natural variables: altitude, wind currents, and moisture that produce violent but localized weather. In recent decades, environmental scientists have raised questions about how these geologic and magnetic conditions affect local biology. Several species of plants found in the zone exhibit unusual growth patterns. For example, some cacti grow in spiral formations instead of upright spines. A type of purple desert shrub found only in the area appears to have higher concentrations of selenium in its tissues than similar plants outside the zone. While these traits may be the result of adaptation to mineral-rich soils, they remain largely unexplained. All of this points to one conclusion: the Zone of Silence is not just a cultural oddity or a place of folklore. It is a region shaped by extreme and overlapping forces: geological, magnetic, and biological. Scientists continue to explore these layers, not in search of the paranormal, but in pursuit of something equally fascinating: understanding how Earth's most remote and hostile environments can still hold secrets waiting to be uncovered. While the terrain of the Zone of Silence reveals much about its unusual geology, it is what occurs in the sky above that has puzzled researchers and visitors for decades. The region has become known for an unusually high number of aerial anomalies, phenomena that include unidentified lights, erratic flight paths of aircraft, and atmospheric disturbances that defy conventional explanation. Although most reports remain anecdotal, a pattern has emerged over time that keeps scientists and skeptics alike intrigued. One of the most commonly reported experiences by pilots flying over the area is the sudden failure of navigational instruments. Small aircraft passing directly over the zone have occasionally encountered brief periods of compass deviation, radio signal loss, or erratic altimeter readings. While these malfunctions are typically temporary and resolve once the aircraft leaves the affected zone, they suggest an environmental factor capable of interfering with airborne technology. Unlike most flight-related electromagnetic issues, which often originate from known sources like power lines or weather systems, no such sources exist in the isolated desert stretch of the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve. Perhaps even more intriguing is the number of reported fireballs, bright streaks of light seen traversing the sky, often silently and without any known source. Astronomers have confirmed that the zone of silence lies beneath a frequent path of meteoric activity, particularly during annual showers like the Perseids and Geminids. However, observers have noted unusual fireball sightings outside of these peak times, including slow-moving or multicolored objects that change direction in midair. These anomalies, while unverified by instruments, continue to attract amateur astronomers and scientific observers to the region. In the early 1970s, American researchers studying atmospheric conditions in the region recorded irregular bursts of gamma radiation using portable detectors. While the readings were inconsistent and did not exceed dangerous levels, they raised questions about whether there could be a natural source for these emissions, such as uranium deposits or cosmic radiation deflected by the Earth's magnetic field. To date, no definitive explanation has been found, though Mexican geophysicists continue to monitor radiation levels as part of broader environmental studies. The cloud patterns above the zone are also worth noting. Satellite images taken over the last few decades have occasionally shown circular or semicircular cloud formations hovering over the region. Meteorologists suggest these may be caused by thermal updrafts created by the region's intense ground heat, interacting with higher altitude winds. These formations resemble lenticular clouds, often mistaken for unidentified flying objects, and may contribute to the visual mystery of the place. However, their regular appearance over this specific patch of desert is still not fully understood. Ball lightning, a rare and poorly understood electrical phenomenon, has also been reported in the zone of silence more frequently than in surrounding areas. Witnesses describe glowing orbs hovering close to the ground during storms, often without the presence of rain. While scientists acknowledge ball lightning as real, its cause remains one of the most elusive mysteries in atmospheric physics. Whether the zone of silence somehow creates conditions favorable to its formation remains speculative. All these skybound anomalies point to the zone's layered complexity. While none individually prove the presence of unexplained forces, the combined pattern of electromagnetic interference, unusual aerial sightings, and atmospheric anomalies continue to make the area a focal point for both scientific inquiry and natural curiosity. The sky over the zone of silence is not merely empty desert air, it is a dynamic, often unpredictable space where Earth and atmosphere interact in strange and fascinating ways. Beyond its mysterious electromagnetic and atmospheric phenomena, the zone of silence is also a biological treasure trove, home to an ecosystem unlike any other in Mexico or the world. This remote desert region, part of the larger Mapimi Biosphere Reserve, established in 1994, protects a variety of endemic species, plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. One of the most striking features of this ecosystem is its remarkable biodiversity, despite the harsh conditions. The area is dominated by xerophytic vegetation, plants adapted to survive with very little water. Among these, several species of cactus display unusual growth forms and pigmentation. For example, the fair cactus hystrix, a barrel cactus native to the region, often grows in twisted shapes that have been misinterpreted by visitors as mutated or altered by external forces. These natural variations result from the adaptation to intense sunlight, irregular rainfall, and mineral-rich soil. The fauna is equally fascinating. The zone is home to several species of reptiles, including the Mapimi rattlesnake and the black iguana, which exhibit coloration that helps them blend into the rocky terrain. Small mammals like the desert cottontail rabbit and various rodent species have also adapted to this arid environment. Researchers have documented behavioral adaptations too, such as nocturnal activity patterns that help animals avoid the extreme daytime heat. The region's isolation has encouraged evolutionary pathways, resulting in unique genetic traits. Studies of certain lizard populations here have revealed genetic markers not found in related species elsewhere, suggesting long-term geographic and reproductive isolation. This makes the zone of silence an invaluable natural laboratory for evolutionary biologists studying speciation and adaptation. The soil chemistry is another component shaping the zone's ecosystem. The desert floor is rich in minerals like magnetite and gypsum, influencing plant growth and soil microbial communities. These unique soil conditions contribute to the specialized nature of the flora and fauna and affect the overall health and resilience of the ecosystem. Importantly, the Biosphere Reserve Management has taken steps to monitor and protect this delicate environment from threats such as illegal mining, poaching, and unregulated tourism. Conservation efforts include research stations staffed by biologists and ecologists who conduct ongoing studies to better understand how this ecosystem functions and how best to preserve it. In sum, the Zone of Silence is not just a site of curious physical phenomena, but a vibrant, living landscape that continues to surprise scientists. Its complex web of life, thriving in an extreme environment, adds a vital dimension to the region's enduring mystery and fascination. As we conclude our journey through Mexico's Zone of Silence, it becomes clear that this enigmatic place is less about paranormal phenomena and more about the fascinating interplay between nature, history, and human perception. The myths that have surrounded the region for decades are powerful stories, but the true intrigue lies in the scientific realities that continue to captivate researchers and visitors alike. One of the most compelling features of the zone is its geological complexity. The area sits at the convergence of three tectonic plates: the North American plate, the Pacific plate, and the smaller Rivera plate. This convergence creates a dynamic seismic zone, which contributes to the area's unique magnetic anomalies and contributes to the shifting geology beneath the surface. Although not a major earthquake hotspot, small tremors and subtle land movements have been recorded since detailed monitoring began in the late 1970s. In addition to the geology, the zone's atmospheric conditions are notable. Its remote desert location and high altitude, averaging around 1,100 meters above sea level, create a clear, dry climate with minimal light pollution. This makes it one of the best places in Mexico for observing meteor showers and celestial events such as the Perseids and Geminids, which visitors report with great frequency. The combination of frequent meteor sightings and the desert's reflective surface enhances the area's reputation as a cosmic hotspot. On the technological side, modern experiments have demonstrated that while radio and satellite signals can be temporarily interrupted by terrain, the so-called silence is not unique to this region. Scientists have shown that similar signal losses occur in other mountainous desert regions around the world, reinforcing the idea that the Zone of Silence phenomenon is a natural consequence of geography rather than a supernatural force. Despite the debunking of many myths, the zone remains a place of wonder, partly because it reveals how human culture creates narratives to explain what is initially unknown or frightening. The blending of Cold War history, natural geology, unusual biology, and human storytelling makes the Zone of Silence a perfect example of how legends are born and evolve. Today, the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve continues to support scientific research, conservation, and ecotourism, inviting visitors to experience firsthand the beauty and mystery of this remote desert. The zone's lessons are clear. Science and myth are not always opposing forces, but can coexist, enriching our understanding of the world and the stories we tell about it. In the end, Mexico's Zone of Silence teaches us that sometimes the most compelling mysteries are those where nature's complexity outshines the lure of the supernatural. It is a place where silence speaks volumes about history, earth science, and the human imagination.